You know, there's something inside of you right now, at this very moment, that's been there since the day you were born. It's been there through every triumph, every setback, every moment of joy, and every moment of despair. It's the most fundamental thing about being human. It's the desire to love and be loved. And I want to tell you something that might surprise you. This isn't just a nice feeling or a pleasant emotion. This is the very essence of who you are. This is your nature. This is what you came from. And this is what you're here to express. When you were born, you didn't come into this world with judgments. You didn't arrive with conditions. You didn't show up with a list of requirements that needed to be met before you could love or be loved. You were pure love. You were an expression of the divine source that created you. And that source, whatever you choose to call it, is love itself. Not the kind of love that says, I'll love you if you do this, or I'll love you when you become that. No, the kind of love that simply is. The kind of love that flows without condition, without judgment, without reservation. But somewhere along the way, something happened. You learned that love could be conditional. You learned that you had to earn it. You learned that you had to be a certain way, act a certain way, look a certain way to be worthy of love. And in that learning, you forgot the truth. You forgot that you are love. You forgot that your worthiness was never in question. You forgot that the love you seek is already within you. Think about a child for a moment. Watch how a small child loves. They don't hold back. They don't calculate. They don't measure. They simply love with their whole being. They run to you with arms wide open. They laugh with abandon. They trust completely. And then gradually, they learn to protect themselves. They learn to put up walls. They learn to hold back. They learn to fear rejection, to fear abandonment, to fear that they're not enough. And those lessons, those painful lessons, become the barriers that keep them from experiencing the very thing they desire most. You've built those same walls. We all have. We've all learned to protect our hearts. We've all learned to guard ourselves against pain. And in doing so, we've also guarded ourselves against love. Because here's the truth. You cannot selectively numb emotion. When you close yourself off to pain, you also close yourself off to joy. When you build walls to keep out hurt, you also keep out love. When you decide that it's safer not to feel, you rob yourself of the very experience that makes life worth living. The question isn't whether you deserve love. You do. The question isn't whether love is available to you. It is. The question is, are you willing to remove the barriers you've placed between yourself and love? Are you willing to let go of the conditions you've created? Are you willing to risk being vulnerable again? Now, I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking about all the times you've been hurt, all the times you've opened your heart and had it broken, all the times you've trusted and been betrayed, all the times you've loved and not been loved in return. And those experiences are real. I'm not denying that. But here's what I want you to understand. Those experiences don't define you. They don't determine your capacity to love. They don't limit your ability to be loved, unless you let them. You see, when you hold on to past hurts, when you replay old wounds, when you tell yourself stories about why you can't trust or why you'll never find love, you're making a choice. You're choosing to let the past determine your future. You're choosing to let fear be stronger than love. You're choosing to be a victim of your circumstances rather than the creator of your experience. And I want to suggest something radical to you. What if you chose differently? What if you decided right here, right now, that you're going to let go of those old stories? What if you decided that your past doesn't have to be your future? What if you decided that you're going to risk loving again, risk being vulnerable again, risk opening your heart again, even though there are no guarantees? Because here's the secret, there are never any guarantees. Love always involves risk. Love always requires vulnerability. Love always demands that you show up fully, without holding back, without protecting yourself, without conditions. And yes, that means you might get hurt, but it also means you might experience the most beautiful thing a human being can experience. You might experience the joy of true connection. You might experience the bliss of being seen and accepted for who you really are. You might experience the miracle of loving and being loved without condition. The most fundamental human desire is to love and be loved. But here's what most people get wrong. They think love comes from outside of themselves. They think they need to find the right person, be in the right relationship, have the right circumstances for love to show up in their lives. And so they spend their whole lives searching for someone to complete them, searching for someone to validate them, searching for someone to make them feel worthy, searching for someone to fill the emptiness inside. But that searching is based on a false premise. The premise that you're incomplete, the premise that you're lacking, the premise that love is something external to you that you need to acquire. And as long as you believe that premise, you'll never find what you're looking for, because you're looking in the wrong place. Love isn't something you find. Love is something you are. You are an expression of love. You came from love. You're made of love. And the love you're seeking outside of yourself is already inside of you, waiting to be recognized, waiting to be expressed, waiting to be shared. When you understand this, everything changes. When you understand that you don't need someone else to complete you because you're already whole, you stop looking for love and you start being love. When you understand that you don't need validation from outside because your worth is inherent, you stop seeking approval and you start living authentically. When you understand that the source of love is within you, you stop being dependent on others for your happiness and you start being the source of happiness for yourself and others. This doesn't mean you don't need relationships. This doesn't mean you should isolate yourself or pretend that human connection doesn't matter. Human beings are social creatures. We're designed for connection. We're meant to love and be loved in relationship with others. But the key is this: you come to relationships as a whole person, not as a half person looking for your other half. You come to relationships with your cup already full, not with an empty cup hoping someone else will fill it. You come to relationships as a source of love, not as someone seeking love. And when you do that, when you show up in relationships as a whole, complete, loving person, everything transforms. Because now you're not in a relationship to get something, you're in a relationship to give something. You're not there to take, you're there to share. You're not there because you need someone, you're there because you choose to be there. And that choice, that free choice made from wholeness rather than neediness, that's what creates real love. Real love isn't needy. Real love isn't desperate. Real love isn't about control or possession or dependence. Real love is free. Real love is generous. Real love is about allowing the other person to be who they are while you be who you are. And somehow, in that mutual honoring of each other's authentic self, you create something beautiful together. But so many people confuse neediness with love. They think that if they can't live without someone, that must be love. They think that if they're constantly thinking about someone, obsessing over someone, that must be love. They think that if they're willing to sacrifice everything for someone, that must be love. But that's not love. That's attachment. That's dependency. That's fear dressed up as love. Real love doesn't cling. Real love doesn't possess. Real love doesn't demand. Real love sets free. Real love trusts. Real love allows. Because real love comes from a place of abundance, not scarcity. Real love comes from a place of confidence, not insecurity. Real love comes from a place of wholeness, not emptiness. And here's what happens when you love from that place. You stop trying to change people. You stop trying to fix people. You stop trying to make people be what you think they should be. You allow them to be who they are. You accept them as they are. You love them as they are. And in that acceptance, in that allowance, in that unconditional positive regard, you give them the greatest gift one human being can give another, the gift of being truly seen, truly accepted, truly loved for who they are, not for who you want them to be. This is the kind of love that heals. This is the kind of love that transforms. This is the kind of love that changes lives. And this is the kind of love that you're capable of giving right now, exactly as you are. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be healed from every wound. You just need to be willing to show up, willing to be present, willing to be vulnerable, willing to love. Now, let's talk about self-love for a moment, because this is where it all begins. You cannot give what you don't have. You cannot love others unconditionally if you don't love yourself unconditionally. You cannot accept others if you don't accept yourself. You cannot be gentle and kind with others if you're harsh and critical with yourself. Self-love isn't selfish. Self-love isn't narcissistic. Self-love isn't about thinking you're better than everyone else. Self-love is about recognizing your inherent worth. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness, compassion, and understanding that you would offer to someone you truly love. It's about honoring yourself, respecting yourself, caring for yourself. And for so many people, this is the hardest thing. It's easier to love others than to love yourself. It's easier to forgive others than to forgive yourself. It's easier to see the beauty in others than to see the beauty in yourself. Why? Because you've been trained to look for what's wrong with you. You've been trained to focus on your flaws. You've been trained to believe that you're not good enough, not smart enough, not attractive enough, not successful enough, not lovable enough. But those are lies. Those are the lies that keep you small. Those are the lies that keep you stuck. Those are the lies that keep you from experiencing the love that is your birthright. And it's time to stop believing those lies. It's time to start seeing yourself the way your Creator sees you, as a perfect expression of divine love, as a unique, valuable, worthy being, as someone who deserves all the love, all the joy, all the happiness that life has to offer. Self-love starts with self-acceptance. It starts with looking at yourself, all of yourself, the parts you like and the parts you don't like, the parts you're proud of and the parts you're ashamed of, and saying, I accept myself exactly as I am. Not I'll accept myself when I lose weight, or I'll accept myself when I'm more successful, or I'll accept myself when I fix this or change. No, I accept myself now, today, in this moment, exactly as I am. And from that place of acceptance, you can begin to change. Not because you're not good enough as you are, but because you love yourself enough to want to grow, to want to evolve, to want to become the highest version of yourself. There's a big difference between changing because you hate yourself and changing because you love yourself. When you change from self-hatred, you're always running away from something. When you change from self-love, you're always moving towards something. The most fundamental human desire is to love and be loved, and it all starts with the relationship you have with yourself. If you're constantly criticizing yourself, judging yourself, berating yourself, then that's the energy you're putting out into the world. And that's the energy you'll attract back to you. But if you're loving yourself, honoring yourself, treating yourself with kindness and respect, then that's the energy you'll put out, and that's the energy you'll attract. You've heard the saying, like attracts like. Well, it's true. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. The love you have for yourself determines the love you'll allow into your life. If you don't believe you're worthy of love, you'll unconsciously push away people who try to love you. If you don't believe you deserve respect, you'll tolerate disrespect. If you don't believe you're valuable, you'll settle for relationships that don't honor your value. But when you know your worth, when you love yourself, when you honor yourself, you won't tolerate anything less than what you deserve. You won't settle. You won't compromise your values. You won't betray yourself to please someone else. You'll stand in your truth. You'll honor your needs. You'll express your authentic self. And you'll attract people who love you for who you really are, not for who you pretend to be. This is the path to fulfilling the most fundamental human desire. It's not about finding someone to love you. It's about becoming someone who loves. It's about recognizing that you are love, and then expressing that love in every moment, in every interaction, in every relationship. And here's the beautiful thing. When you do this, when you live as love, you don't have to worry about whether you're loved in return. Because you're not dependent on others' love anymore. You're not looking for validation from outside anymore. You're complete in yourself. You're whole in yourself. And from that place of wholeness, you can love freely, without expectation, without condition, without fear. Does this mean you won't ever feel pain? No. Does this mean you won't ever experience rejection or loss? No. Does this mean every relationship will work out the way you want? No. But it does mean that you won't be destroyed by those experiences. It does mean that you won't define yourself by those experiences. It does mean that you'll have the inner resources to handle whatever comes your way. Because when your sense of worth comes from within, when your source of love comes from within, when your happiness comes from within, then nothing external can take that away from you. You become unshakable. You become resilient. You become free. And freedom is what this is really about. Freedom from the need for approval. Freedom from the fear of rejection. Freedom from the prison of unworthiness. Freedom to love without holding back. Freedom to be yourself without apology. Freedom to live authentically, courageously, fully. The most fundamental human desire is to love and be loved. But what if I told you that this desire is already fulfilled? What if I told you that you are already loved beyond measure? What if I told you that the source of all creation loves you unconditionally, completely, eternally? Would you believe it? Most people don't. Most people think they have to earn God's love, or the universe's love, or whatever they call that higher power. They think they have to be good enough, do enough, achieve enough to be worthy of divine love. But that's not how it works. Divine love doesn't operate on the principle of worthiness. Divine love simply is. It flows to everyone, always, without exception, without condition. You are loved by the source that created you. You are loved by the intelligence that breathes life into you every moment. You are loved by the power that makes your heart beat and your lungs breathe and your cells regenerate. This love is not something you have to earn. This love is not something you can lose. This love is constant, eternal, unchanging. And when you connect with that love, when you feel that love, when you know that love in your bones, everything changes. Because now you're not looking for love in all the wrong places. You're not trying to get people to love you. You're not manipulating or controlling or people-pleasing to be loved. You're simply resting in the love that already is. You're allowing that love to flow through you. You're being the expression of that love. This is what it means to be spiritual. This is what it means to be awakened. This is what it means to be enlightened. It's not about sitting on a mountaintop meditating for hours. It's not about performing rituals or following rules. It's about recognizing who you really are. It's about remembering that you are love. It's about living as the expression of that love. And when you do that, when you live as love, you fulfill the most fundamental human desire, not because someone else loves you, although they might, not because you find the perfect relationship, although you might, but because you recognize that love is not something you find, it's something you are. Love is not something that happens to you, it's something that flows through you. Love is not something you get, it's something you give. Let me tell you something that might challenge you. The people who have hurt you in your life, they were searching for love too. The people who rejected you, who betrayed you, who abandoned you, they were acting from their own pain, their own fear, their own sense of unworthiness. They weren't withholding love from you because you didn't deserve it. They were withholding love because they didn't know how to give it. They were operating from their own wounds, their own conditioning, their own limitations. And when you understand this, when you really understand this, you can forgive. Not because what they did was okay, not because you're excusing their behavior, but because you understand that hurt people hurt people. You understand that they were doing the best they could with the awareness they had at the time. You understand that their actions were about them, not about you. Forgiveness is one of the greatest expressions of love, and the person who benefits most from forgiveness is you. When you hold on to resentment, when you hold on to anger, when you hold on to blame, you're the one who suffers. You're the one who carries that weight. You're the one who stays stuck in the past. But when you forgive, you set yourself free. You release the burden. You open your heart to love again. Forgiveness doesn't mean you have to let toxic people back into your life. Forgiveness doesn't mean you have to trust people who have proven themselves untrustworthy. Forgiveness simply means you release the emotional charge around what happened. You let go of the need for revenge. You let go of the story that you're a victim. You reclaim your power. And the same goes for forgiving yourself. You've made mistakes, we all have. You've hurt people, we all have. You've done things you're not proud of, we all have. But holding on to guilt and shame doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't change the past. It doesn't help the people you hurt. It just keeps you stuck. Self-forgiveness is an act of love. It's saying, I made a mistake, but I'm not my mistakes. I did something wrong, but I'm not a bad person. I fell short, but I'm still worthy of love. It's giving yourself the same grace you would give to someone you love. It's recognizing your humanity. It's accepting that you're a work in progress. When you forgive yourself, you free yourself to love again. You free yourself to try again. You free yourself to be vulnerable again. You free yourself to live fully again. And that's what life is asking of you. Not perfection. Not flawlessness. Just willingness. Willingness to show up. Willingness to keep trying. Willingness to love. Even when it's scary, even when it's risky, even when there are no guarantees. The most fundamental human desire is to love and be loved, and you can start fulfilling that desire right now, not tomorrow, not when your circumstances change, not when you meet the right person, right now, today. In this moment, start by looking at yourself with love. Look at your body, the body that carries you through life, that allows you to experience this world, and thank it. Look at your mind, the mind that thinks and creates and problem solves, and appreciate it. Look at your heart, the heart that feels and cares and loves, and honor it. You are a miracle. You are a wonder. You are a unique expression of the divine. Start seeing yourself that way. Then, look at the people in your life with love. Not judgment, not criticism, not expectation. Just love. See them as they are. Accept them as they are. Love them as they are. Not because they're perfect, not because they never disappoint you, but because they're fellow travelers on this human journey, doing the best they can, searching for the same thing you're searching for, to love and be loved. And then, extend that love to everyone you meet. The cashier at the grocery store, the driver who cuts you off in traffic, the stranger on the street. See them with eyes of love. Treat them with kindness. Offer them your presence, your attention, your compassion, because everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Everyone you meet is carrying burdens you can't see. Everyone you meet is longing for the same thing you're longing for. When you make love your default mode of being, when you choose love in every moment, when you become a walking expression of love, you transform not only your own life, but the lives of everyone you touch. You become a force for good in the world. You become a light in the darkness. You become part of the solution instead of part of the problem. And here's what happens. Love multiplies. When you give love, you don't have less love, you have more love. It's the one thing that increases when you give it away. The more you love, the more capacity for love you develop. The more you express love, the more love flows through you. The more you become love, the more love you experience. This is the secret that the great spiritual teachers have been trying to tell us for millennia. This is the truth that every religion, at its core, points to. This is the answer to every question, the solution to every problem, the healing for every wound. Love. Not romantic love, although that's beautiful. Not just love for your family, although that's important, but universal love, unconditional love, divine love, the kind of love that includes everyone and everything, the kind of love that holds no exceptions, the kind of love that flows without limit. You have access to this love right now. You don't need to study for years. You don't need to become a better person. You don't need to achieve anything or acquire anything. You just need to open your heart. You just need to be willing. You just need to say yes. Say yes to love. Say yes to life. Say yes to yourself. Say yes to others. Say yes to the present moment. Say yes to what is. Say yes to the flow of grace that is always available to you. Say yes to your divine nature. Say yes to your inherent worthiness. Say yes to the truth of who you are. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are not your wounds. You are not your fears. You are not your doubts. You are not your limitations. You are love. You have always been love. You will always be love. That is your essence. That is your nature. That is your truth. And when you live from that truth, when you embody that truth, when you express that truth, you fulfill the most fundamental human desire. You experience the joy of loving and being loved, not because someone gave you permission, not because circumstances aligned perfectly, but because you chose it. You chose to be love. You chose to give love. You chose to receive love. This is the invitation that life is extending to you right now. This is the opportunity that every moment offers you. This is the gift that is yours to claim. Will you accept it? Will you open your heart? Will you risk loving fully, completely, without holding back? The world needs your love. The people in your life need your love, and you need your love. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Don't hold back. Love now. Love fully. Love courageously. Love without condition. Love without expectation. Love because that's who you are. Love because that's what you came here to do. Love because love is the answer to every question, the solution to every problem, the healing for every wound. You are love. Be the love you are. Share the love you are. Express the love you are. And watch as your life transforms. Watch as your relationships transform. Watch as your world transforms. Because when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And when you look at everything with eyes of love, everything becomes an expression of love. This is your birthright. This is your destiny. This is your purpose, to love and be loved. Not as a distant dream, not as a future possibility, but as a present reality, right here, right now, in this moment, and in every moment to come. Choose love, be love, live love, and fulfill the most fundamental human desire that beats in your heart and in the heart of every human being who has ever lived. You are loved. You are lovable. You are love itself. Never forget that. Never doubt that. Never question that. It is the truest thing about you. It is the most real thing about you. It is the most important thing about you. Go now and love. Love yourself, love others, love life, love with everything you have, love with everything you are, because in the end, love is all that matters. Love is all there is. Love is who you are. And when you know that, when you live that, when you be that, you have everything you need. You are everything you need. You are love, and love is all there is.